Maxine's Baby, a new film tracing the life of Tyler Perry. It starts from his early childhood to his mega superstardom today. At times it's painful, but overall a beautiful story brought to audiences by Galila Beckel and Armani Ortiz. They sat down with Dean Richards.
Welcome to Chicago. It's great to have you both here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And Chicago is a very significant city for Tyler.
It is.
Galila, isn't it?
It is, yes. That's where he sort of figured out, and we call it the birthplace of Medea. And it's, has a significance in the story.
Yeah. And I think for most people, that's where they begin to know Tyler. But your film really takes us before Medea. So we learned so much about the making of the man here.
Yes.
Talk about a rags to riches story. I mean, really, if anyone thinks they'll never be able to overcome obstacles in life, they should watch this movie and follow Tyler's pattern, don't you think?
1000%. That's what me and Galila really thought about. Is like, hey, we can't rush this story because this could be of service to someone. And quickly we started seeing the impossibility of who Tyler is. And then throughout the documentary, hopefully people can see themselves in it and see that they too can overcome anything that they can possibly think of and dream of.
Yeah. Galila, what do you think are the key factors in this of what made Tyler, what brought on that drive? What were the things that made him never give up?
I mean, that's why I think of him as a singular. I think it's this, born with this massive creativity and imagination, but also, his trauma sort of, dealing with trauma for him was through imagination. And you see that in his work, and I think it's more about survival in the beginning and fed his creativity later on. And I think it's also have something to do with this vision he constantly has for himself and for others, and that just doesn't allow him to give up.
Yeah, the documentary is called Maxine's Baby, the Tyler Perry story. What role did his mom, Maxine, play in the development of his personality, do you think?
Man, I think everything. I think that Tyler's soul is Maxine, and when we started figuring that out, and we, as you guys saw in the documentary, and you guys will see in the documentary, that archive footage, when we saw it, we were like, wow, this is the heart of the film. And she meant the world to him. She was the reason why he did everything. And that transcends into more of his success and why he does things now with opportunities that he gives to other people.
Yeah.
And also, we didn't want to make a film about Tyler Perry, the mogul.
Yeah.
I think the big stuff is already there, but rarely with, men like people like Tyler who've achieved so much, you don't get to see the origin of where things sort of stem from and come from. And we only see and celebrate the end result, but the beginning is important, and the beginning of where these rich stories come from, the imagination, what he endured. Also the middle part of before he got to where he is, those, gray area of trying to figure it out if any of his imagination actually makes sense in practice is sort of where our focus.
Yeah, don't you think? I mean, those are the parts of his life, and maybe really all of our lives, the very roots that determine who we become as adults and how we live our lives and how we make our decisions in our life. That's really what made the mogul, right?
Yeah.
Correct. I think there are, millions of people who are talented, but I think talent also doesn't thrive without that tenacity, never giving up, the hard work, and hopefully, especially, there's a young generation that's sort of misled in believing that you can become successful and famous and wealthy and
overnight.
Just cutting corners and shortcuts, but really anything that is meaningful and has longevity requires a lot of hard work.
What surprised you both as you dug into his story and learned things? What surprised you most about Tyler that you didn't know before, Armani?
I would say he has a burden of sacrifice on him always, constantly, because he wants to give other people opportunities that may have never gotten the opportunity, especially being with him for the last 10 years, almost every single day in the studio, in Tyler Perry Studios, both of them, in Greenbrier and the new one in Fort McPherson, he's constantly working hard for other people. And when you see that up close, as Galila says, in practice, the forgiveness in practice, the excellence in practice for other people, it's inspiring.
Galila, how about for you?
I think
You know him better than
echoing-
most, right?
I do. I did
Yeah.
have the privilege of having that front row seat for many years,
Yeah.
but I think no matter how well we think we know someone, as close as we are to the people we love, there's still, you know, I like to call it, it's like an onion you peel, and there's always something at the core. And for me, I think that practice of what love and healing and forgiveness looks like is still, I'm still wrestling with how that is possible. Because, you know, you have someone who's endured so much and is still able to love and see the world as a brand new, as a new day. That is sort of like what I think superheroes are made of.
Yeah.
You know, to see him as a father and to give his son all the love that he's giving without any example of that for himself in the beginning. That's sort of a big surprise
Yeah, sure.
constantly.
I admire him greatly as a professional, as an actor, a writer, producer, director, all of the professional things that he's done. But honestly, the thing that I admire most about him is his unwavering generosity to others, constantly giving and sharing. And I guess that comes back to the roots again, right? That he didn't have. So anytime that he can help somebody out,
Yeah.
he always does.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think hunger and struggle is honest. It really teaches us and speaks to us in a way that, from experience, that in a way it's not explained. So to come from something like that and really understand what that means when you see it, it's pretty fascinating. And also it goes back to his mother, Maxine, you know, hence the name of our film is Maxine's Baby. You know, his sort of example of love and giving and sharing came from home, from her. And to see this man grow up to sort of embody that example is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she said it perfectly. Maxine is always shining through. And when you speak about the generosity and what he does for others, that's all Maxine. When we were able to sit down with him and we were able to have that vulnerability, he would always just tell us little one-off stories about how Maxine would take people in New Orleans and how she loved Mardi Gras because she just was a person for people. And Tyler's very much so the same way. Tyler's very much Maxine's baby.
Yeah, people will learn so much. Maxine's Baby, the Tyler Perry story, is on Prime Video now. Thank you for making the movie, and thank you for coming by to tell us all about it.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk about it, and thank you for watching.
Thank you. And Chicago means a lot for us, for the story. So it's great to be here and share this with you.
And thankfully it's not too cold.
Yes,
Not yet, at least.
you can. Wait about 10 minutes, it'll change. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.